All right. Well, let's kick this off now with amazing Steve Epstein. How are you, Steve? And thanks so much for joining us.
I'm living the dream. Thanks for having me.
You are living the dream. So, really excited to have Steve today. I think it's a rarity that we get somebody with so many years of experience and so many units under his belt. We're not trying to talk about his age or anything.
I was going to
However,
say, I feel like you're calling me old.
Nope, definitely not. You started when you were 10. 35 years in the business. 35 years. He has closed over 2,600 transactions, 2.5 billion in sales in his career. And I think the cool thing about Steve is that he's been doing this a long time, but he has matured and grown and adopted all the new technology and things like that over the years. So I think he's a wealth of knowledge. We usually answer questions towards the end. And so go ahead and put your questions in there. I mean, it's not often that you're going to get an opportunity like this to pick the brain of somebody with so much experience. So welcome, Steve.
Hello, everybody. Honored to be invited.
Thank you. So why don't you start with just a little bit of your background? Like, how did you even get into this so many years ago?
My background is in the entertainment business, which turns out is really good. It turns out you don't have to be a retired school teacher to be good at real estate, which around here seems to be. I mean, look, if you can wrangle third graders, you can wrangle a real estate practice, right? I think I'd rather wrangle a real estate practice, but I was in the entertainment business primarily as a production guy, sound, lighting, stage management, technical direction, production management. All through the 80s. So all the 80s rock. I've seen every 80s band you can name, probably more than a few times, because I did a lot of music industry stuff as well. But I had a partner who was had a pretty serious alcohol and drug problem, and which was, the 80s, right? The whole thing was, fueled by a variety of things. And I just couldn't take it anymore. And I had bought a condo out of college, and it was like a help you sell thing. And I don't remember getting much of any help. And I can't believe I somehow got through that because I had no idea what I was doing. But afterwards I went, I'd like to learn how to do this. So I started taking classes at City College because this was long before the interwebs. And I had a few professors, and one of them said, hey, you're eligible to sit for the real estate test. Even if you're not going to become a realtor, maybe you should, think about doing it now while it's fresh. Never looked back. That was 1988.
Wow. I always love hearing everybody's stories. Everybody has such a different background getting into this. Well, Steve, you are heavily involved in so many different things. I think that I'll call it your resume, your current resume. I mean, you're just involved in everything. One thing I noticed is you're on a lot of boards. Was it you? Did I read on Facebook where you were cutting back and you actually were like now only on like 10 or something like that?
I'm trying to get the number down to 6 to 8. It peaked at 11 or 12.
So tell us a little bit about that, because I don't think we've ever had anybody on here that's one of their big things. And I'm assuming that by being part of those things, that it is generating business for you as well.
It does, but I would not recommend to somebody that they do that to generate business. I mean, I have my class, finding your luxury business, and I talk about getting involved in your community, whether that's Amber Hart's deal, which, I don't know if you guys know about Amber, and I think she might be on a webinar this week talking about, I think she's on Luxury Pro talking about setting up a 501c3.
Yep.
Which I do not want to do. I do not need to run a 501c3, but she does a masterful job. So it's a similar thing. Have I gotten business from it? Yes, of course I have. I mean, one of the tricks is anytime you're in any group, social group, or a board or a school group, every time somebody says, hey, somebody sent a donation of 50 grand or something, it's a reply all, right? With your signature block and your smiling little face at the bottom, because I don't show up and say, hey, I'm that real estate guy. And in Santa Barbara, we don't have our cars branded and we don't wear name tags. It's kind of a chill, low key thing here, right? So the key thing for me is making sure everybody knows who I am and what I do without telling them.
Okay, I have Anne here. Should be right back with it. Hello?
You mute them, Crystal?
Yeah, we need a group.
Yeah, hello.
Hi. We need a group mute.
There we go. I think we got it. Awesome. So what I think I'm hearing you say is you're always saying it, but not saying it. So
Right.
it's
You just can't be that guy. I mean, I can't be that guy.
yeah.
What? So I can't remember who it was. I think his name was Steve something, but there was this guy. I went to a seminar, one of those hotels where there's 1,000 people in the room, ballroom. And the guy got up in front of the group and he said, here's my demo. He said, carry a big fat stack of cards and everybody you meet, press a card into their hand and ask them who they know that wants to buy or sell real estate. And I'm in the back of the room with my little yellow pad going, don't carry cards, don't press cards into people's hands. And whatever you do, don't ask them who wants to buy or sell real estate, because that doesn't work here. Right. It just doesn't. And I'm not saying that doesn't work in some markets. It just doesn't work here.
Right.
So he also, by the way, this might help somebody who's been in the business for a while remember, he had buttons that said, buy from me or get out of my car. I'm not making this up.
I'd love to see you walking around with one of those, Steve. That'd be great.
Over my dead body. Someone's going to Photoshop that in.
Right. You're going to show up on Facebook with that.
No.
Okay.
Please.
So you're in all these things. You're also in a lot of other things. Correct me if I'm wrong. So he is the luxury ambassador for Central and South California. Is that correct? Did I say
go
that right?
From basically like the Encino office, Sherman Oaks Encino office at the top of LA. I don't know what drunken sailor drew these regions out, but they probably gave a kid a crayon and a map. But I go from the top of LA to the San Luis Obispo, Monterey County line from the ocean to Nevada.
Great. And so what is your main role in the regional ambassador role? Like what do you feel that is, are you doing that to give back or to learn more about luxury? Tell us a little bit about that.
The answer is yes. Look, one of the things this company's really, going back a little bit, I was 24 years at what ended up being the Blue Team. So I'm a recovering Coldwell Banker agent. There's a 12-step program for it.
I'm glad you made it over this way. I'm glad you made it.
God, it's like hitting your head against the wall. It feels good when you stop. Yeah, I don't know. I had an unusual mentality there. I was like, no, this is how everybody sells real estate. I don't know what the red team's doing over there. This is how it's done. Turns out you can teach an old dog new tricks. But one of the things this company's really done is pushed me forward to coaching, training, and mentoring. So I'm running a little program here in the office called Next Level Coaching. It's kind of entry-level coaching and mentoring and productivity coaching. It's kind of all lumped into one. But the luxury ambassador role, I'm taking certainly out of my region because I'm teaching classes in person and online all over the country. I mean, I've gone as far as going to Brandy's Market Center in Florida and teaching. I think I'm back for the third year in a row at the Vail, the Rocky Mountain Summit, which is an amazing event. I wish our state would put on something like that summit. It's really next level. I see it as just kind of helping people level up, helping them understand luxury, helping them earn into luxury. And look, guys, if you're not out teaching, coaching, or training, even if it's just one agent in your office, I encourage you to do it. You never learn more than you do when you teach. You never learn more. I
absolutely agree. 100% agree with that. And I think that when we teach, we actually remember the things that we forgot that we should be doing, and then we start doing them again, because it's easy to get away from the basics and the things that we have always done. Time changes, and then all of a sudden we forget that we should be doing them.
I got busted yesterday. An agent on my team has a $10 to $15 million buyer coming in Saturday. I was talking about a client I had in the 15 to 25 range, and I was encouraging him to get a buyer broker agreement signed. He goes, "Did you go and sign with those other guys?" I went, "No."
Yeah, we all fall.
So you're right. You're right. 100%, Sandra.
Awesome. So now I'm kind of staying on this topic for a little bit, just because you are so involved in so many things. So I think it's important for people to see that, because I think a lot of people, they kind of are expecting things to just show up. And I don't think that this business really works that way. And I think you're a great example of that, because I noticed you are also in relocation. You are in sports and entertainment. You're on the ALC for your office. So you're really putting yourself out there in so many different ways.
I just started a really cool literacy project called Santa Barbara Reads, because 50% of our school kids aren't reading at grade level.
Wow. So how do you have time for all this? How do you like balance it all?
I don't sleep.
Seriously?
You sleep when you're dead.
Okay. All right. All right.
I have great leverage, and that's another thing. And I'm not trying to turn this into a cheerleading, squad for Gary and the red team. I'm fully drinking the Kool-Aid, but I didn't understand leverage. I came to KW with a full-time assistant and kind of a junior partner, and now I have a team of 11 and 2 full-time staff people. Well, that's in the 11. I didn't understand leverage. And so leverage frees me up to do the stuff that nobody else can do. So if you find yourself doing something that somebody else can do, you need leverage.
Absolutely. And you're doing a phenomenal job with what I would consider a fairly small group, right? You're not like 30 agents selling 100 million. I mean, there's 10 of you or 11 of you, really selling at a high level.
Well, that sounds impressive until you realize that our average and median price here is a little over $2 million.
Okay, that hurts. That hurts me. That hurts me. But I know it hurts other people on this call even more than it hurts me. But that is amazing. That's a phenomenal number. And I wish I was in that market.
There's an agent that at the beginning of COVID came from a KW office in LA to Santa Barbara and doubled her average price point from 1.5 to 3 million. So I jokingly say, if you want to raise in real estate, you might have to move.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. During the pandemic, we do a lot in farming, and our average price point was, like 500,000. So during the pandemic, we actually moved to another farm area that was at a much higher price point. So literally the same thing that you're saying. And it, just moving locations made a huge difference.
Yeah, no, I use this in a lot of ways, but if the goal is to get hit by a train, you've got to get the schedule. And if the train's coming at 7, I suggest you get down to the tracks by 6:50 because it could be early, and you have to stand on the tracks, right? You have to get in the way of the business.
Absolutely. And I think your humor is another one of those things that does well for you, right?
Look, if the people that take this really serious, look, I take it seriously. That we're dealing with millions and millions of dollars of other people's money. I take that seriously, but I am committed to having a good time at this, because this June will be 36 years. I'm coming up on, my 8th renewal of my license in California. It's like every 4 years. Someone's going to do the math and say you're off. And I think I actually am. If you don't have fun doing this, go do something else. Just go do something else.
Yeah.
Life is way too short.
Well, clearly you enjoy it. You wouldn't be doing this 35 years, 36 years if you didn't enjoy it. So clearly you're having a good time with it. So where do you find the humor? Some days are really hard, and there's a lot of people, as we know, get in the market and they get out just as quickly as they got in.
Aren't you thankful for that?
Yes, it's good. It's good. Even right now, I feel like we're seeing people that have been in 5-6 years that they're just feeling like it's hard right now. And so we're seeing people exit. So how do you keep your mindset in a place that keeps you going for 35 years?
I've recently started watching a comic named Tom Segura that I was kind of late to finding out about. And he's pretty salty at times, but he talks, when he gets serious for a minute, he talks about how for material, he walks around and just observes people, right? The fun, laughable, comedic moments are everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're open to like, wow, that was really funny. Or, I joke, like I've seen every crazy, stupid, unethical, wild thing a buyer, seller, or another agent can do. Oh no, every day there's something new, fun, and exciting that somebody creative's come up with to be squirrely in a deal, or just be like, what? You what?
Right.
Can't make this up.
You really just can't. You can't. So I think what I'm hearing you say is that rather than get frustrated and upset about things, you find the humor in it. You find the laughter, and it just can't get any more ridiculous or crazy than this. And probably a little thankful that you're not the one making the crazy.
Well, some people might think I am, but most of us never think we're the problem. Although if you find the same problem recurring in your life, the common denominator may jump out at you at some point. I had an agent years ago who's a little more senior than I am in the business, and I was venting something about some deal that fell apart that some people were disingenuous from the beginning. And I was kind of getting into that space of like, this is messed up and, I've been wronged. And this guy's name's Bruce, and Bruce goes, Steve, I have one word for you. And I'm like, okay, Bruce, what is it? He goes, next. Just, it's like a take a number machine.
Right.
If the guy in line, it's no soup for you, right?
Right.
Move it aside. I'm giving soup to the next guy. So, Julia, crazy tracks are crazy. Okay, Julia, so you're saying you get a lot of crazy people. Sorry, I had to glance at the chat.
Yeah, no worries. I feel like the crazy is getting bigger and bigger every day. Crystal, one of my top agents, she calls me yesterday. She's just like laughing and begging, give me one simple deal, just one. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't think they exist right now. I think that it's just all a little nutty, and we have to just make the best of what we have.
Yeah, look, here's the good news and the bad news. We get hired and fired every day. You get a new boss every day. Now, here's what's great. And everybody on this call is in different places in their business, but I fire people or I elect not to work with them.
Mhm.
Or my favorite line is, let me find you a realtor I really dislike to refer you to.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, oh, that'd be great. Then later on, I'm sure they're going, did they say, what did he say?
Right. What just happened? Why did that happen? Yeah. And I think that the longer we're in this, the more that we need to do that. We need to be a little bit pickier. Things that are too challenging or that they're not appreciative of what we're doing for them, then it may be time to let them go.
Yeah. For instance, my fuse on allowing people to disrespect me or my team's a lot shorter than it was 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll call people and I'll go, like, you don't get to yell at us. I know you're stressed out and this is a big deal. You're spending millions of dollars, but you don't get to yell or, pound the desk or have tantrums because you're stressed out. I'm sorry. And, I'm happy to have a therapy session with you, but we're your real estate agents and
Not your punching bag. We're not your
Yeah.
punching bag.
Yeah, we're not the whipping boy or the punching bag, but yeah, no, my tolerance for that kind of behavior is definitely very different.
Yeah, and we really shouldn't have to put up with that. But at the same time, I feel like if we have to figure out how to manage that, because it's literally like as soon as they sign the papers, half of them become crazy.
Well, it's fear. If you understand it, I really think all of us need psych classes. Like my director of operations has a psych degree, but if you understand where people are coming from, most of this behavior is fear-based.
Yeah.
We had I have a father-daughter on my team, and they the father's father passed away, and they put the house on the market, and somebody came into an open that wanted to buy it, and they figured out, hey, it's a family home, and we're the broker, the agent, so we probably shouldn't represent them. So they said, Steve, would you do this? So I jumped in to help this gal, and they came down from Carmel yesterday or over the weekend, and there's contractors, and I mean, it was a big deal, and they freaked out and kept asking for more and more money off the deal. And the sellers finally tapped out. And now she's like, oh my God, what do we do? It just was so rushed. And I knew she was going to do that. I mean, I even kind of pushed her out. I said, I don't think this house is for you. I kind of went Phil Jones on her.
Yeah, exactly. Look at you, got him right there.
Well, I'm teaching this in the team meeting this morning. Every meeting we're doing a little bit of role play out of those cards. But now she's freaking out. So if you understand the psychology of these people and understand how afraid they are, who on this call could raise their hand and say the last time they bought a property, they didn't freak out and think, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm going to be eating
Porque yo vi una parte de Indianápolis que decía ahí de Indianápolis.
Freaked out and thought, I'm going to be eating canned beans the rest of my life. What am I doing? Like when you bought the house in Colorado, you were probably like, really? Should we be doing this? Right? Tell me you didn't have some trepidation.
Oh, absolutely. And we actually just bought a new house in Florida. And like every little thing that happened, I was like 1 foot out the door. And, I had to talk myself off the ledge. And I've been doing this for 15 years. Like, why am I having that reaction? Everything made me mad. Little things made me mad. It's crazy. So, and I didn't have
your problem is your problem is you know
myself.
too much. You know too much is
Yeah.
the problem.
Yeah,
But
probably a little bit.
what I've sold homes before my own and thought, what would I tell myself if I was myself counseling myself? What would I be telling myself?
Right, exactly. And I had an agent bought her first house on this team and on my team, and it was funny to watch that happen because she got so frustrated and she's like, "I'm done. I don't care if they keep my escrow." And I'm like, "Whoa, what would you be telling your client at this point?" Like,
Hold the phone.
yeah, yeah, it was interesting to watch that whole thing unfold.
Yeah.
But it makes you a much better agent once you've been through it because now you understand what they're going through on the other side.
I don't know how people do this business that haven't gone through it personally. And I'm not trying to, obviously not everybody's to the place where they can afford their home yet, but I was lucky enough to have bought that little condo out of college and, so I was technically a homeowner, but yeah, it's scary for people. So if you understand the psychology of where they're coming from, it makes it so much easier to talk to them. And the best way to understand that is ask a ton of questions. Am I a commercial yet? I every time I hold that up, Phil sends me $50.
Right? Don't you wish?
Yeah, I become a serious devotee of Phil Jones.
Yeah, we've done the role playing with the cards and everything, and it's fun because it brings it back to learning and having fun at the same time. And we get a lot of laughs when we do it as a group and somebody says something really funny.
Yeah. Well, if you're role playing with people and they're taking it easy on you, you pick another person. Dan Ahara, we just had Dan Ahara back for a recruiting event that we did offsite for Dan's community and real estate planner community. And he was silly enough to call me up to do a role play with him. And I did not take it because I knew his script. So I made sure I danced around it and pushed him off balance. So
I love that. And that's absolutely true. You got to have the tough questions and the tough, objections and things like that.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, Steve, I know one of the things that you also talk about is mirroring clients. Tell us a little bit about that. Hopefully everybody knows what that is and they've taken the DISC class.
I didn't take a DISC class, but when I got in the business, I banged out a GRI, then I got a CRS, and I was joking in the first few years of the business, I was the most overeducated, underpaid real estate agent in the area. But I did this 2-day seminar on, I think it was a combination of things. It was mirroring and it was cultural norms and how to hand a business card to an Asian person. In terms of the two corners facing them. If you receive the card, read both sides, make a comment. By the way, stuff we should be doing.
Yeah.
Polite stuff that, Asians do that Americans are like, yeah, that's your card. But, turns out they got a few things right. And by a few things, I mean a lot of things. But the mirroring is so important. Okay. So I'm energetic. Some people might say hyper. I'm fast. My brain's clicking along. I'm doing what Phil tells me not to do because while you're talking, I'm already thinking about what I'm going to say, which isn't right.
Right.
And the mirroring is about understanding who your client is. And if they speak slowly and deliberately, that is probably how they wish you were speaking to them. And it's tough for me. It's tough for me. I mean, I love it when somebody gets in the car and comes in the office and they're running at my clock speed, but you can't count on that. And it's not about them to meet me where I am. It's about me to meet them where they are.
Yeah.
I ask people so early on what they do. First of all, I'm fascinated with what people do. I find it fascinating, the things people do. Like you hear about somebody and go, didn't even know that was a job. Didn't know that was a thing, right? That's cool. I mean, we need amazing people in this business, right? A ton of them. Some of them unpleasantly amazing, but amazing. What do I tell my team? When you deal with a cross-section of humanity, you get a cross-section of humanity, which isn't always pretty. But, look, if we have a lot of engineers around here, there's a lot of aerospace and high tech around here. Matter of fact, my daughter just came home getting a job in aerospace engineering. So I'm very proud. They when they want information, they want it now. And they want way more than anybody else would. And I've had clients where you send them a bunch of data and 3 minutes later, they send it back to you all broken down in a spreadsheet with pie charts and, bar graphs. But then we have, Hollywood screenwriters and producers and artists and musicians here. They don't want any of that, right? They want to talk about how the property feels and the energy and all of that. And, some people might roll their eyes at some of that stuff. Whatever. I'll drink that, I'll drink whatever Kool-Aid is appropriate to drink to help somebody get to a comfort level while I'm trying to curate an experience for them to realize their real estate dreams and goals. It's not about me. I mean, if you're going to deliver concierge level service, you've got to meet them where they are. Man, that sounds crazy. This is why I'm not in here at this hour.
And I love that you said what you said. It's not about me. I love that. Because I think a lot of agents, they think it's about them, and they go in and they want to talk about themselves. And I mean, yeah, we have to sell ourselves and we have to let them know what we do great, but they're not even going to hear that if we haven't heard them first.
What does Phil say? Because I'm going to quote him every 3 minutes. We like to show up and throw up. And I'm super guilty of that. Oh, she froze.
Are you getting better now that you have the cards?
I'm getting better at a lot of things since I've had these cards and read and listened to the book. I don't even think you should read that book. I think you should listen to it on Audible. First of all, Phil's got a very charming accent. Second of all, there's nuance to this. And if you're not listening to him and the other two people on that Audible, you're missing out.
That's a great point. I never even thought about that. And I'm a huge Audible person, but I read his book, the actual book. So I think I'll go. I'll
listen to it. Be the best $12.95 or whatever it is, whatever it costs you spent. I've got copies of the book up on the shelf there, but I think it's better on Audible.
That's a great suggestion. I'm definitely going to do that.
It's just in my car rotating. It just comes on when I get in the car.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
That's Phil Jones.
Let's talk a little bit about marketing. Oh, am I frozen?
No, you've been a little Max Headroom, but
lagging.
Yeah. See how many people on this call know who Max Headroom was. I'm really dating myself now.
I'm sorry. There were people that have asked on the chat for the name of that book again. Can you repeat that?
Exactly What to Say.
Perfect. Thank you.
Phil Jones. I'm sorry. Oh, she's gone. Clarification. It's Exactly What to Say for real estate agents, because he wrote a book called Exactly What to Say, and then it became so popular. Thank you, Christine. It's Exactly What to Say for real estate agents. And again, I think the Audible is better than the book. I read the book and it was good. And then I listened. Well, I met him and spent some time with him, but then I started listening to it on Audible, and I thought that was a lot more worthwhile. Who on the call? I mean, I guess you could raise hands or something. Who on the call's got the cards yet? They're really, really cool. It's like a game. It's like a little flashcard game, and it puts out scenarios like you're at an open house or you're at a listing presentation, you're trying to get a price adjustment. And then there's a list of objections. And then there's the suggestions on how you build out. Thank you, Daniel, for putting that link in the Audible in the chat. And then it helps you build out a question tree, right? That's the whole thing, is building out that question tree. There's a reason you have one mouth and two ears. Phil doesn't say that, but I coach around that. And look, this is hard for me. I like to show up and tell people, how wonderfully wonderful I am. And, and I'm a legend in my own mind. But I'm going to quote a motivational poster here. People don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And if you show up and throw up, it doesn't always go well. I've lost listings that way. Hard lesson. Show up and talk. By
talking too much.
Yeah. Well, or just not really giving them some space to, explain what's important to them. So is Sandra completely, oh no, she's back.
I'm here. Yeah. Sorry about that. My internet, like I said, is not great here, but I have an amazing view of the mountains from here. So my lighting's bad, my internet's bad, but my view is amazing.
I can help you with the lighting because I have a degree in lighting design, but I can't help you with the internet.
Yeah, we'll do better next time. All
It's
right, Steve, so
fun.
tell us what you think is like the one most important thing about you that has gotten you to the level of sales and success that you are at. Is it listening to people, or is that more of a newer thing? Or is it your marketing? What would you say is like your number one thing?
I don't, it's sort of like, I don't know about you guys, but in our office, when you cap, the team leader wants you to come up and say, hey, what did you do? And, how did you cap? There's no secret sauce in this. I think this industry, and this is why what I'm about to talk about is why it's so easy for companies like Zillow and homes.com to sell to us. We're like the easiest people in the world to sell to for a variety of reasons. One is we want this, we think there's secret sauce. We think there's a panacea. We think there's some easy workaround, right? To get success in this business. And frankly, there isn't. You have to show up every day, listen to what people want, and deliver what we brag about delivering, which is concierge level service. And there's no secret sauce.
Mhm.
We just curate an experience for people. And that's it.
Okay.
I wish it was more complicated. I wish I had a fancy answer for that. But you just got to show up every day. And I don't mean show up every day. Like when we first started getting computers in the office, people would show up, work on their database all day, 8 hours, clean up their database, and go home and, oh, I worked. If I'm working at my database now, if I'm looking at a contact, if I'm not throwing them away, I have to call them. That's cleaning up your database. Takes you 10 times as long, and you talk to 10 or 15 or 20 or 25 people every day while you're cleaning up your database.
Right. And you're not making decisions of, I shouldn't call you, or I'm going to wait till later to call you. You go down the list and you do it the way it tells you to do it.
Right. Yeah. You might go, well, hey, I'm not going to get them because they work on this day or whatever. Leave them a message. Tell them you're thinking about them.
Right.
I call people when I drive by their house. My joke is, hey, I drove by your house. You weren't out front waving. Like, what's up? I expect you to, don't you expect when you drive by, they're supposed to be out in the lawn, giving you the Queen's parade wave?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. So again, you're bringing humor into it. You're bringing your personality and your humor into it, so people actually feel loved and that they know you. So
Yeah,
I think that's your secret sauce. I think that's it, Steve. I think we just hit it.
Yeah, I try to keep my personality out of it if I want people to like me, but
I doubt that. I highly doubt that. Oh gosh. So, I mean, you're dealing with some pretty high-end properties, big ticket items here. How much are you spending on marketing each house that you list? Like, is it a flat amount? Is it a percentage? What does that look like?
No, I could tell you the annual budget, and I guess you could divide that by listings sold, but the annual marketing and advertising budget isn't all property specific, right? There's plenty of stuff we do that's just maintaining top of mind awareness, right? Any marketing strategy, in my opinion, has to be around creating and maintaining top of mind awareness, whether that's for a listing or for me or the team or whatever it is, right? So if that didn't work, Coke and Pepsi wouldn't be spending tens of millions of dollars trying to move the needle. I think Coke's at 54%, and Pepsi's got the balance, and Pepsi's going to spend millions of dollars to get 1 or 2% away from Coke. So if marketing and advertising didn't work, they wouldn't be handing out free refrigerators at the rate they do, right?
Right.
So fasten your seatbelt. The marketing budget's about $420,000 a year now.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that covers a full-time employee as well. I have a full-time marketing director.
Okay.
She
All
does
right.
all social media, just listed, just sold, buyer books, seller books, probate, administration of wills, trusts, and probate books, listing presentations. Each one's customized. She does it all.
Wow. And then, so you said books. Are you actually like bringing a book on appointments when you meet with a buyer and a seller? Is it a customized book to them?
No, we do on the first visit, our listing presentations, if we can control it, as a two-step process where we go meet the people, build rapport. We have very little tractor production work here. It's almost all custom. So we're not showing up prepared to tell them what it's worth. And every time I stand in somebody's
Okay.
living room and shoot from the hip on what the property's worth, I'm usually off, unless it is a tract home. So when we visit them, or if we, sometimes we mail it, but I'd rather hand it, we have books. So we have like a really cool seller's book, right? Seller's guide. And there's a lot in here that's going to show up in the listing presentation. For instance, we have a questionnaire on how to hire a real estate agent, right? Of course, we ask a bunch of questions that make us look really good. But this is an earlier version of the seller's guide. And then we have a buyer's book, home buyer's guide. We're redoing this now, of course, because of, we're have talk a lot more about our value proposition. So yeah, no, we show up, we meet them, we fawn all over them in their house and love on them, find something to appreciate, irrespective of what their house looks like or how it smells. And then we come back or we meet them at the office and we do a pretty robust listing presentation. I sent you, Sandra, an example of what I call the Uber luxury listing presentation.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many pages that was. It's probably 60 or 70 pages. We don't go through every page, but we do that on the large TV over their mantle or the large TV in our conference room. And I do it from an iPad or a touchscreen computer so I can zoom in and out and control the focus. Okay. So when I talk about, hey, we're spending over $400,000 on marketing and advertising, I zoom in on that number and that fills the screen and then I pull it back. So
that's impactful for sure.
Yeah. Well, I just want to control focus. When I was working my way up to the entertainment business, I used to be a follow spot operator. If you're in a dark theater and you sneeze, you're running the follow spot, thousands of people will pull something in their neck going, because they'll follow the follow spot. They're like cats with a laser. By the way, if you've never played with your cat with a laser beam, nothing more entertaining.
In all of our free time, we'll check it out. Awesome. Okay, so you're spending a lot. So what about like print marketing or like what kind of marketing are you actually paying for outside of what you're like in magazines, things like that? Are you doing lots of those kind of things?
No magazines. We're in the local weekly paper. We don't have a daily paper here anymore. A very wealthy gal bought it and flew the plane into the mountains. So we have a weekly paper that we do a half page or a full page. And if we have a new listing, we'll do a full page. Otherwise, it's a half page. And again, that's really, I think, just maintaining top of mind awareness that we just show up there.
Right. Yeah. But the sellers think that it's about their house. And
of course,
they expect that. So, we have to do that. However, it's really advertising us, not the house.
Here, just like an open house is not to sell the house you're on. Does it happen? Sure. But that, I've had people on my team go, God, I held it, I held that your listing open and I got a couple buyers, but it's like 40 neighbors. I went, great. How many of them are listing? Because every one of those damn neighbors just interviewed you. Every one of them just interviewed you for themselves, their friends, their family, their kids, whatever. You just got interviewed. They're like, I did. I shouldn't have hustled them out. I shouldn't have ignored them. Should have got off the couch and not read the sports page. And then you're just like,
Yeah. You got to change your mindset. Absolutely.
You guys see the permanent dent my 5 had from doing that? People are like 5 head. It's one more than a 4 head. Julia's losing her mind. I'm working on a 6 head. Anyway, no, you're being interviewed in the grocery store line because people look at you and go, oh, you're that Epstein guy and not the Monty Island. So yeah, I that makes me crazy when they're like, oh no, it's just a bunch of neighbors came through. I'm like, perfect. How many appointments do we get?
Absolutely.
So, look, and specific to the listings, I always feel like you have to do this dance of making sure every agent and every buyer with an agent, or every buyer and every agent with a buyer in that price range for that property knows about the property, but is sort of gently reminded of it. When people send out, I don't know about you guys, but we actually have in one of the MLSs I'm in, the Santa Barbara MLS, you can do bulk MLS email. So you can type something and push a button and it goes to 1,400 people in our MLS. Obviously in the Los Angeles MLS, which I'm a member of, for a couple of very specific reasons, but you can't do that because there's hundreds of thousands of members. But they'll say, oh, still available. I'm like, why would you call attention that you've been on the market for 120 days? Like, why are you pointing that out? Why don't you buy a billboard?
Right.
We're still sitting here at the same silly price and nobody's bought it. We're still here, yoo-hoo.
Yeah.
So that's the dance, right? And Sandra, going back to the marketing point, if I understood what really worked, I could either save a lot of money or I could redirect a lot of money to what does. And here's the problem with the paradigm that we have set up. So I'll run an ad in the Independent, and we always buy an individual property website. So we have a listing on 1833 Santa Barbara Street. I don't know, and so it's probably 1833 SantaBarbaraStreet.com or whatever Asia bought, whatever URL she picked. I don't know how they got to us, because they could have seen my sign and gone to our website. They could have picked up a brochure and seen the individual property website address. They could have gone on Zillow. You know, I don't know where they're coming from.
Right.
Right. I've been in listing presentations, and a savvy seller will go, well, where are you getting most of this from? I'm like, I don't know the 3 or 4 steps that they took to get to us. In the
Right.
same way, we've probably all had people call us and say, hey, I'm thinking about selling my house, and I'm calling a few agents, and I'll say that, thank you so much. Honored to be, included in the mix. For our own education, may I ask how it is you found us, or how you know about us? Most people don't know. I had a guy say, we saw your ad on the back of the bus. I've never advertised on a bus. There's a local, we'll sell your house for 1% company that does that. And I really want to say that wasn't me,
Yeah.
but
But
especially if they pick up.
you're not gonna.
No.
Yeah.
I
I
advertised.
have,
Go ahead.
you what?
I advertised in the movie
No, I was
theater
gonna say, I have the
years ago.
same thing. Sorry,
I think we have a lag.
my internet's bad. So I have the same situation where I get people say, I see your billboards all the time. I don't have any billboards. I'm like, yeah, great. Thanks for calling off my billboard.
Yeah.
That's fun.
You don't want to argue with them. I used to advertise in the movie theaters. When you were sitting down waiting for the movie to start, they'd run a slideshow. I was on the sailboat, and it was cheesy, and it said for a smooth sail, but it was spelled SALE.
That's cute.
But people are like, oh man, yeah, you're the guy in the movie theater. I'm like, yeah, 20 years ago.
Well, they still remember. That's awesome.
It's sticky.
It was impactful.
It's sticky.
Yeah. Well, hey, I want to open it up to some questions. If people have Crystal's my magic chat reader for us. And if you have questions that you haven't put in the chat, you can raise your hand. And let's put Steve on the spot here. Let's see how he does.
These guys are on it. Christina Hood found 1833 SantaBarbaraStreet.com. So I was right on the URL. So now you get to see what we do for the individual property websites. Steve, would you be open to sharing the listing book? Yes. If somebody can collect the list of things people want and who they are, I'm happy to share them. What percentage of your sales do you?
Yes. So Steve, one of the first questions somebody asked was in regards to the leverage that you use, because that was one of the first things you mentioned, is how you have implemented leverage. So they were asking, can you give some examples of the leverage that has been caused you to be able to do all that you're doing right now?
Right. So, again, I'm just going to parrot really smart people. So when I joined KW, I was invited to be in Gary Keller's mastermind group, which I know more than a few people on this call are on. And, he drew the triangle from the MREA, and I'm not drinking. I mean, I don't have an MREA team. I'm running more like a teamerage or a brokerage model. But, it's the triangle of listings, leads, and leverage, right? It's just not complicated. It's super simple.
Mm-hmm.
But the leverage is the team is great because, for instance, my 93-year-old dad just moved and wants to have me set up his wood shop, which everything about that's a bad idea. But I'm not sure you need all your fingers at 93, But so I'm going to be in LA Saturday, plugging table saws and radial arm saws in and putting some lighting up in his new garage. Before I had a team and I had a director of operations and some support, it would really stress me out to be out of town for a day or two. And I'm only going an hour and a half away. I'm an hour and a half north or 2 hours on a bad day north of Los Angeles, but I'm not here. I can't cover a spontaneous showing. I can't run over to a house. I've gotten calls like we all have. The neighbor calls and goes, there's a lot of water running out from underneath that garage door. And you get over there and the water heater is just living its best life by washing down the inside of the garage. So having a team, having good people that all chip in to cover each other. One of our team members just went to Maui and got engaged. We covered him while he was gone. Tried to talk him out of that engagement thing, but whatever. So we cover each other, right? So I used to really stress out. I couldn't go to family reunion or, masterminds or the luxury symposium. I'd be a hot mess because you know what happens? You try to leave town and everybody comes out of the woodwork, right? Man, I want a list. I want to sell. I need this. I need that. And you're like, oh my God. So my director of operations, literally, you can't see the end of my arm. She sits at that desk. Now there's plenty of offices up here I could put her in, but as much as I can, I put things on speakerphone here and I hang up the phone and she's like, do you want me to send that counter offer? It's already done. Like you need that person, right? You need somebody that's an extension of you.
Mhm.
And hire an assistant long before you think you need one. I got in the business in 88 and I think by 90, I was hiring high school or college kids to come in for a few hours in the afternoon. And that's when we had faxing and filing and had to touch paper. So I was standing at the copier with an agent who back then was making $1 million a year. And she said, who do you think you are having an assistant? Her name's Linda. And I said, Linda, who do you think you are not having one? And she goes, well, I mean, And I said, what do you make an hour? And she's like, I don't know, $500 an hour or whatever she's making. And I said, would you pay somebody $500 an hour to make copies? And she goes, no, that's ridiculous. I said, Linda, what are you doing right now? She was making copies. And I'm like, what do you pay yourself? $500 an hour. I'm like, so you're paying somebody $500 an hour to make copies? She goes, no, I'm not. And I'm like, all right, I'm done with this conversation. I can't explain it any other way, but hire somebody before you need them. And by the way, if that person just comes in 12 to 5 every afternoon, if you're smart about it, you'll have a list of things for them to do, right? It gets you organized. Like you look at all the stuff you need to do. Don't need to do that. That's not time sensitive. Don't need to do that. Don't need to do that. They can do that. And then they come in and you have a list for them. Because you start paying somebody and they're sitting behind you in a chair, not doing anything, it's going to hurt your soul. Long answer to a short question. Sorry, Sandra.
No, that was great. That was great.
Yeah,
And
it
just
was
to
great.
throw one more thing on top of that, one of the great things I like to do is have, even the agents on our team, they have leverage, right? It's not just you and me at this level. It's also the agents on the team. They need to have leverage, even if it's just like partnering with an agent on the team so that when one goes away, the other one helps and vice versa. So it's at all levels. It's not just at the team leader level. It's at all levels. And one of the best things that I like to do is I like to sit down and say, what are all the things I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing? And I'll make a list. And then I'm like, okay, well, who can do this? Because when I find myself just doing lots of little random things that I shouldn't be doing, I should be looking at the bigger picture of things. I will sit down and fill up a card. Okay, these are the 10 things that I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing. Who can take these on?
Sandra, in doing that exercise, how often have you found out that the person you're giving that task to is better at that task than you are?
Yeah, usually they are. Because I'm trying to do, I'm running in different directions. I'm not finishing it. I'm great at starting and I'm terrible at finishing. So I need that person who can take that idea and finish it.
You just nailed me. I'm a great idea guy. Seeing something through completion and implementation is very tough because this business is nothing but squirrel,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely.
If you're not ADD, you will be by the time you've been in this business for a while.
I agree. Crystal, we got any more questions
Yeah,
there?
a couple more questions. So what is your best tip for finding a luxury client?
Go where the train is going down the tracks if you want to get hit by a train. So I actually have a course that I teach called Finding Your Luxury Business. I'm going to shamelessly plug this briefly here, Sandra, but I'm happy to zoom into your market center. If it's a place I can get to, I'm happy to come to your market center. I actually have it queued up on my desktop because I thought this might come up, but I teach a whole class on finding your luxury business, but it's basically putting yourself where high net worth individuals are. There's a whole strategy around that. But you got to be genuine about it. You can't like join a bunch of boards of causes you don't care about like in Santa Barbara, most of the nonprofit boards are a bunch of high net worth individuals that retired in Santa Barbara, but still want to be involved in something. So that's one example.
Great.
Yeah.
And
And
how
you
can
definitely have
people
to have
find out? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you definitely have to have a solid interest in whatever it is that you're joining, or it's gonna be very obvious to the participants that you're not there for the right reason.
Can we unmute Mark, my friend Mark from Naples?
Hey, Mark,
Hi, Steve.
thanks for joining us.
Hi, Sandra.
Hello, my friend. How are you?
Good. Just wanted to ask you, are you dealing much in international clients these days?
A little bit. Going back and forth for some clients in Taiwan. I sold their daughter, or sold them a $1.2 million condo for their daughter to go to school right before COVID. And then COVID hit and she went home to Taiwan, and they haven't used that thing for a while. But the good news for them is it's probably worth $2 million now. But yeah, somewhat, not as much as you would think. I think if we were in a larger metropolitan area, we probably would have more international business.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Mark.
More
Thanks, Steve.
questions?
Send me your info. Albert, I'm Steve at the EpsteinPartners.com. I guess I could type that into the chat.
So
So-
Steve, where do most of your leads come from these days?
That's a really good question. Steve, did I spell my name right? Yeah. I always have to make sure I spell my name right. It's a variety of things. Did that go? It didn't go. I hit return. I hit sendy. What's going on here? Sorry, I'm trying to send my email to everybody. It's not going. No, it won't let me do it for some reason. There's a lot of SOI when you're in the business a long time. There's a lot of, I sold some clients that actually just got back in a relationship with them again. I sold them a place when their daughter was 5, and I remember she was 5 because we had to prove to the school that we were going to close right about just after the deadline for her to enroll in that particular school. And so we had to go there with escrow instructions and, kind of go the extra mile to make sure she got in. And then I sold the daughter a condo when she graduated from college. So it's starting to get generational for me, which tells me, I definitely am, I'm definitely too old.
Oh my goodness. All right. And then someone was asking, can you give some details on how do you make the property website that you had mentioned? They have
I think that
listing.
company is Real HQ, or just REAL HQ. It's super easy. It's a clean template. And it's cheap for how much it is. I want to say it's 125 or 150 bucks per property, plus whatever. I think maybe it's probably plus 15 bucks to GoDaddy or something silly.
Awesome. Perfect.
There's a whole bunch of, Command probably even has it. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it's Real HQ or something. Yeah. Is that Real HQ? Yes. Melia, I believe that's it.
And Steve, how about staging? Do you do a lot of staging?
We stage everything that somebody will let us stage. We're big believers of it. We will virtual stage if they won't let us stage. And we'll virtually renovate as well. We pay for that. We don't, for the most part, we don't pay for regular staging.
Got it.
But
Steve,
I'm a huge fan.
Sorry. My question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do you see yourself, and when do you see yourself exiting, or is this just for life? Do you want to keep doing this?
I don't know what I would be doing.
Oh, I love that
differently.
question.
Yeah, no, it's what are you going to do when you grow up kind of question. But I'm a little Peter Panish. I don't want to grow up. It's overrated, really. I don't see myself fully retiring, and that's what's cool about creating a team and having some leverage. I can do what I want to do now. So for fun, I'm in food and wine groups. I was at a wine tasting last night. I ride motorcycles with a group of guys. I race sailboats with a different group of guys. I play in now 2 bands. I just got hired in an R&B soul funk band Sunday. I don't know what they were thinking hiring a white guy, but could I say that? If I'm being self-deprecating. So I'm doing what I want to do. If I want to travel, I travel. So I don't know what I would do differently. I'm not killing it like I was 20, 30 years ago.
Steve, you're living your life by design.
I'd like to think so. Yeah.
It
I'd like
sounds
to
to me like you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm having fun. And, it's crazy when you depressurize something. It's sort of like we've all known the couple that's trying to get pregnant and they're trying and they're trying and they're trying and it just can't happen. And then they go, okay, I guess we're not having kids. And then suddenly there's babies coming, right? If you depressurize this a little bit, you kind of have fun and you're out in the community and you're living your life. It's kind of amazing how business comes to you,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I will say one thing though, going back to finding business and all that, whatnot, and this is tough for me as much as it is for you guys, we spend a tremendous amount of time and money and effort on getting new business to the detriment of our existing SOI.
Mhm.
Before you spend another
Totally agree.
dollar with Zillow or homes.com or any of these people, love on your database. I have a pile of cards on the corner of my desk. I try to write a few of these. A week, just when I'm thinking about people. What's it take? Hey, man, thinking about you. Hope you're doing well. Throw a stamp on it. Who does that anymore? Nobody. Hope you're doing well. Saw your kid got a soccer scholarship to school. Congrats. So easy. Amen. Preach it, Steve. I love the chat.
Oh,
We're at a revival meeting.
there's Karen. Hi, Karen. How are you?
Aloha.
Good. Good morning, Steve. Thank you so much. Sandra, thank you always. Steve,
Sandra,
a couple things.
Karen, go back to bed. It's really early.
Oh, hush you. I get up early. Remember what I used to do? Swim on a swim team and big wave surfing. So
Dawn Patrol. No, I know. I used to do Dawn
yes,
Patrol.
you know how that is. So I'm
Yep.
used to it. Anyway, you're worth getting up for, and so is Sandra. So
Don't
thank
stop.
you.
Oh.
But two questions. One of them you brought up yourself, staging. So you said that you do the virtual staging yourself, and you said we don't do much of the other staging. Sometimes if it really needs it, will you if you have
No. What I was saying was we won't pay for the real staging. I know
No,
some
no,
agents are,
that's what I meant. Sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
say what you meant.
but we do everything we can to get them to stage.
Right. And what if they don't? Then you just virtual stage?
I've offered to split it with them, so I have some skin in the game, but I don't pay for that until they pay for it all up front, and I reimburse them through escrow just in case.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a
Well,
really good idea. Okay.
Sometimes homes don't sell.
True. Good idea. Thank you. So my other question is, I love your idea of putting that up on a big screen. I never would have thought of that. How do you convince them if you're in their home? Oh, I need to plug this into your big screen.
It's not hard. I have an AV background. I owned a sound and lighting company. When I'm doing my first recon through the house, I take a look. If the TV's, I won't get too technical, but a lot of TVs now are recessed into a niche above the fireplace or somewhere, and you can't get at anything.
Right.
So that's going to be difficult unless they have Apple TV.
Okay.
If they have Apple TV, you can show up with an iPad. You have to be on their Wi-Fi, but most people don't care about that. But if you're on their Wi-Fi, you can screen mirror, which is what I do in our conference room. I don't plug in. I go in the conference room, I hit mirror screen, it shows up. I'm good. I can be connected in 10 seconds.
Okay. I got to learn how to do that. Thank you.
Sure. Pretty simple.
Thanks.
All right, we got two more questions. I know we're getting to the end here, so we'll wrap it up with the last couple of questions. We have Nicole. What is your question?
Hi, Steve. How are you? I'm
Good.
in New Jersey. I'm at the Jersey Shore, and I just have a quick question. Are there any services or, like a follow-up service, a gift service, anything that you use to love on your database to send them big or small gifting? By the way, your dog's adorable.
That's Roman, and you can see why he's called Roman, because he just wanders around the office. He's Roman. No, and I should. I'm bad at loving on clients as much as I should. And frankly, I probably could just hire somebody to just be a client care manager. It's I won't say it's a blind spot, but it kind of is, because if you're not if you're not in my windshield or my mirrors immediately, you know, I could sort of lose sight of that. I have an amazing lender here in town, and you know, we were on a Zoom or a call or something, and I mentioned that my kryptonite is peanut M&Ms. I try not to eat crap, but you know, if I go to a gas station to grab a water or something, I'm going to buy some peanut M&Ms. 4 weeks later, this huge box of, you know, Halloween sized peanut M&Ms comes to my house. I didn't even know who sent them to me. She finally said, "Did you get some M&Ms?" She listens to everything everybody says and sends them a little gift or does something, makes a reference to it later. And I'm not great at it. I just need, it's just a spot I need to work on. So long answer to a short question. Sorry.
Sounds like leverage. Leverage is needed there.
What you said.
Awesome. Thank you. Jamie, I think you're the last question, and then we're going to wrap it up and let Steve go sell some real estate.
Okay. Hey there. I am in New Hope, Pennsylvania, in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
I've been to Bethlehem.
Yeah, not far. So my question is, and I apologize if I'm asking you to repeat something because I missed the first 10 minutes of the call. I'm curious in the beginning, 30 years ago, whenever that was for you, when you saw the biggest jump in transition to getting your team to going from a solo agent to massing the kind of business that required the development of a team, how long did that take? And what do you think the major levers were that helped propel you in that direction?
Well, the major lever was coming to this company. I got here and the TL said, "You should build a team. You should build a team. You should build a team." And he told me so many times, after a while, I thought it was my idea. So build it before you need it. If you build it, they will come. Hire an assistant before you need it. Get a junior agent or a team up with an agent before you think you need it. And then, you know, by the way, I've never recruited a team member ever. It's all been organic. And at one point, half the team were past clients. That's the other thing. Your database of talent is your database. Like in the same way we ignore our current clients to go find new clients, if we need help, we go out and post things on job boards and, you know, whatnot. Look at your database.
Mm-hmm.
You know, call somebody who's really great at what they do and go, "Are you still excited about working in the medical, you know, research, whatever it is they're doing?" And they may go, "No, I'm really not anymore. I just don't love it anymore."
Right.
But build it before you need it, or you think you need it, because you need it now. Just start building it. And it's not easy. You know, people are like, "I don't have time to train an assistant." You don't think you have time to not train an assistant, but it takes time.
Right. And money. Sometimes people say, "I don't want to spend the money. I'm not there yet." Well, you'll get there much quicker if you do spend the money to get there.
I could not agree more.
All right. I said we were going to wrap it up, but I got one more question here, Amelia.
That was a great point, Steve, that you just brought up. Organic recruiting. There's been an agent that's new to our area, actually came from California, and she brought the buyer to our luxury listing with one of the coaches at UK. And the moment I met her, I kept telling her, I said, "We need to do more of this. We need to do things." And what I constantly are saying to her, just like we do with our SOI, is, you know, we need an opportunity to do more. I would love the opportunity to work with you one day. I'm not sure when that is, but when you're ready, I'd love that conversation to see where it might go. Today, she called me. That's why I was late for this call. She called me and she's like, "I don't know where I'm getting these luxury listings, but I have 3 that are coming up and I'm lost. I don't have any support at the brokerage I'm at. And would you consider co-listing with me?" And so I talked to her a little bit about them. And then I said, "You know what? I think there's an opportunity for us to do more than just co-listing. Would you be open to a conversation to see what that would be like?" And she said, "I would absolutely love it." She's like, "Because where I am, I'm not getting what I need, and I think I could with you." So we set up an appointment 2:30 tomorrow, and I encourage everyone, you know, just with your SOI and the agents around you, go on their social media, make comments when they post something about a closing or when they post something about a new listing, comment on that. Like another beautiful listing that you had, you know, you always do your sellers, you know, justice, or congratulations on helping your client achieve their goals. Such a beautiful list. I enjoyed looking at it. Or you're such a great agent, because they're not getting that at their brokerage and they're not getting it from anybody around them. Because when we get to the level and the price point that we're at, people are jealous and they're haters, and that you got a target on your back, whether you want to admit it or not. That's really where it is. So comment on those people. And anytime you have the opportunity to see them or to invite them to one of your events, or invite them out for a cup of coffee just because you want to get to know them, do that, because they're watching you just as much. And start the conversation of, I don't know if you're open to an opportunity, but I'd love to see what it would be if we took an opportunity to work more together, or I'd love the opportunity to talk to you about us doing something. I'm not sure what it looks like, but are you open to a conversation?
Yeah, no,
Because
that's great that you do that. And one of the reasons I teach in the market center, other than they just encourage me to do it, and I guess I'm technically the ALC education chair, is one of the things I teach is, if you get a listing opportunity and you're not really, really comfortable with it, not really convinced that you have a straight shot at it, grab somebody from the office that can help level you up, and you'll get an education. And yes, you'll make less money, but you'll get a part of something versus a part of nothing, that if you go in there thinking, oh, I got this, and you don't. So especially if it's an area outside your expertise. If you've never sold a 22-unit apartment building, and I'm just saying that because I closed one 2 months ago, don't go list that. You're going to get sued anyway. If you don't understand cap rates and net operating income and how to do the analysis on an investment property, don't go do that. You're going to get in trouble. That's
Right.
just risk management and loss mitigation. But if you get an opportunity and you don't fully understand it, or it's outside your area of expertise, partner with somebody. But also, when I teach these classes, I explain that to people, and then they come and say, hey, would you go co-list this with me? I don't do that to get the business, but it turns out it's created business. So I agree with you. Good work on that.
That's great. All right, guys, I am going to wrap this up now. Thank you so much. I mean, we actually ran over by 8 minutes, and I think we could have kept going, but I know Steve's got to go sell some houses and get more leverage. So we're going to let him go. But thank you so much.
I'm
This was
actually going to go
amazing.
teach this right now.
Awesome. You know what? Can we do a Zoom? Can we get my team and your team and do a Zoom of
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, can
That'd be
we?
fun.
I'm
Yeah,
in.
Yeah.
let's do it.
Order these
All right,
if you
guys.
don't have. Order these if you don't have them. It takes a while to get them because they're very popular. And there's, by the way, there's a Facebook page for this too. Phil started for exactly what to role play.
Love it. Well, thank you, Steve. It was great having you and learning so much from you. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you everyone for being here and for staying over too. Bye,
Thank you,
guys.
Steve.
Thanks, Sandra.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.